So welcome to the Work on Wellness podcast. This week I'm joined with Mel, or by Mel, my good friend, and Malby the dog here, that you can see him. He's being friendly. So I just wanted to chat to you today about, obviously, your background. You are a yoga instructor. You do a lot of stuff in like wellness space, and that's obviously what the podcast is about. So tell me a little bit about your backstory. So how did you first get into yoga?
So first started when I was at university.
Okay.
And Bikram was the craze at the moment, and there was deals for going to the studio. My friends were super active. They were like, let's go try it out.
What's Bikram?
Hot yoga. Super hot yoga, a very rigid sequence. You follow a set sequence every single time. And it's just a school of yoga, a certain school of yoga that I don't practice anymore.
Why not? Just don't like being too hot. So you moved to Dubai instead. Just do it on the beach.
Yeah, I like that linear way of moving to begin with. Actually, that's a lie. At the very start, I did not get yoga at all. In Savasana, I was lying, giggling at the end, like, oh, what are we doing? Just lying still. Like I could be making my dinner. And then just the more I practiced, I found different styles, and I really liked the flow, like a more fluid way of moving rather than boom, 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 boom. So yeah, that's when I went down like the vinyasa route.
That's quite an interesting topic. For people that haven't done yoga, there's a lot of different types, aren't there? Like my girlfriend took me to, we must have told you this, when we were traveling, she took us to this Kundalini yoga class, and this guy was just nuts. Like, I'm sure he was high on something, like long flowy hair, and he had us like doing these weird like movements and like breathing work and stuff, and it was just crazy.
I love, I've done Kundalini maybe once or twice now, and I love it. If you let go of that part in the mind, like, what is this? And if you release the judgment, oh, hello, Malby. It's, if you fully embrace it, it's a wonderful release. It's strong breath work, repetitive movement. You go deeper, 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 and it's like, whew.
I was exhausted after.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly from like keeping my laughter in, but
I've cried, yeah.
So what's the one that you do now?
Vinyasa, mainly. Vinyasa is like the fluid way of movement. Traditionally, it's one pose per breath, so one movement with every breath. So that would obviously be a really rapid flow. As yoga, or as the years have went past, many teachers have interpreted yoga in a different way, so that you can all just add your own little bit of flavour and spice to the way you teach and the way you like to move. Mine's very expansive, free movement. Everyone's welcomed in the space as well. Like, I really encourage the yogis to interpret the way I've showed you. You interpret in your way. So often close the eyes, see what feels good for you rather than with the eyes open, looking to everyone else, comparing yourself to others, judging yourself for what you look like.
I'm the worst at that. I'm so unflexible. So I am always there feeling like my movements are just like awkward. It's kind of put me off a few times actually. As like a beginner person. So how do you cope with the different levels of people's ability?
So give variations always. So you always have like your option 1, your option 2, your option 3, but also encourage people to go outside their comfort zones. Be okay with falling, because that's the only way you're ever going to learn. So often the biggest barrier is in the mind. So I get people excusing themselves, like you've just said, I'm so inflexible. I'm the most inflexible person you'll ever meet. I'm like, I personally didn't come to yoga to improve my flexibility. For me, it's much more than that, the experience and what you get from the room. So please don't excuse your ability, because there is no good or bad. Every version of yourself, like the version of myself that I've taken into that room to teach and to practice, been at the lowest parts, the highest parts, tired, hungover. Just be you and accept you throughout it. And most of the time, they surprise themselves. There was a guy that came in early, like this morning actually, this is my first time to yoga. And I was like, make yourself comfortable. And if this is your first time to yoga and your 100th time to yoga, please be kind to yourself. So rather than my balance isn't there, I feel so inflexible, or F this, sometimes I get that when they're falling over. I'm like, laugh it off. Like, this is me, love and embrace it.
Yeah.
The gentle.
So let's just take me back a second. So you said you started doing at university, you started going to yoga.
Yeah.
And then you moved country. Right.
Yeah.
So what was your, like, when did this become your career, your passion?
So the practice became deeper in Spain when I moved to Barcelona. It was a weekly thing. So when I was in Scotland, it was I'll try different classes, different studios. I'll do the community things, the free things. And then in Barcelona, I signed up to a yoga studio and went regularly, found a teacher that I loved, the style that I loved. And then when I moved to Dubai, there was just this voice in the back of my head when I was in Spain. I was like, I just want to be a teacher. And I'd reach out to certain people that I knew had done their teacher training, and I would say, like, what do you need to know? I just felt, okay, I'm not advanced enough and I'm not knowledgeable enough of the yoga tradition and the history of yoga. I can't go to India knowing as little as I do. And there was bless you, Malby. There was such a long way to go. There was a big difference between me as a practitioner and the advanced yogis. There was just this little voice, but that's what I want to do. And to others, they're just like, just do it. But it's yourself that's like this barrier that you put up for yourself, or thinking of all the reasons why you can't do it.
Yeah.
Or why you shouldn't.
I think we do that a lot in all of our lives. I was just saying to you earlier, like, I wanted to start the podcast and I couldn't start it until I'd got like the best equipment and all of this. Like, I constantly putting a barrier in the way. And then everyone was like, look, just start it with a cheap mic, $20 mic, get your camera, your phone out. It's good enough to start. And I think that's a good lesson to learn in all of your stuff.
So it was COVID. COVID was a big push. I was at home teaching online, but pretty much jobless. Like, career-wise, I didn't have a direction that I was going in. And you know what? Okay. Little bit lost. Good question. Looking back to then, how did I feel? Because everything was up in the air, I wasn't alone. Everyone was in the unknown. So you know what? It was a really great time to start something new. I'm super grateful. Like, Sam, my partner, he was a big push of that message. Just do it. I'm behind you. Just do it. I was like, okay, we'll just do it. I don't need to do it in India. I weren't able to fly. So I did it in Dubai. And yeah, I haven't looked back.
I said to my girlfriend the other week, Mel is a little bit of a free spirit, and she's not the person you would normally associate with Dubai. You know, it's that like corporate, work hard, like play hard lifestyle, very pretentious and stuff like that. I think when we first spoke, you were like maybe hadn't settled properly. You were missing Barcelona a lot. How have you settled now? How have you found your tribe of people?
I think it starts from knowing who you are and what you like. And that cliche, but just being unapologetically you. So, you know, I've heard in other podcasts that I listen to, and they call it, do things that make you feel warm and don't do things that make you feel cold. So going with the things that make you feel warm. And yes, it maybe comes with a little bit more effort at the start when stereotypically and on the surface, it's not somewhere that is you, but it's there. You need to look a little bit harder. I love hikes. I met people through hiking. I love dancing. I've met people through partying. You guys, friends of friends. So it's seeking out what you love to do, and that'll attract. If you continue to be you, then those people will come. Like-minded people through yoga.
Yeah, you seem super settled and comfortable now. You've got a lovely place as well, so...
Yeah, home makes a big difference.
Now Malby as well.
Yeah, life-changing. It's still not my soul's place, and I do miss the Mediterranean way of life in Barcelona, and how you can walk through the city. Dubai's very detached and drive here and drive there and fast. But it's finding, okay, if it's not for you and it's not forever, Melissa, how can you make it enjoyable for the meantime, and how can you find happiness no matter wherever you are? Because it really is internally. So if I can sit here and complain of all the negatives of what I don't like here, okay, and you'll be miserable if you keep living like that. or you can switch the lens that you see things through in the community that we live in now. The gardeners are out. It's a good morning. Hi, how are you? Like, the joy is there. The workers working on the construction site this morning, spoke to Malby, and yeah, it's there. It just depends on the lens that you see things through.
So what's your typical day then? You waking up, are you exercising in the morning, you go down the beach, going for walks? What?
Nowadays, it's 6:30 rise, walk with Malby if Sam's not on a walk this morning, in the morning. If it's not a walk, I'd love to get, yesterday was a yoga practice. I've got my weekly Tuesday yoga practice for myself. And teaching roughly in the morning, roughly in the evening, in between times, creating for the retreat, planning my sequences, playlisting. I put a lot of love into playlisting.
So what brings you the most joy in your day?
In my day, my Monday to Friday day.
That's a good question for myself, actually. I haven't even,
Very
as I
good
asked you, I
question.
thought,
Love
oh no, she
that.
asked me back.
It sparked something in my eyes. The morning walks. The morning walks with Malaby.
They're long walks as well, aren't they? Sam said he's not a small dog.
Good 45. I could go an hour. Just as sun's rising or it's already risen. Now in the winter, it's slightly cool. The streets are quiet. The birds are chirping. That's joy. And then you can be surprised where joy comes from throughout your day. For me, it's connection with people a lot of the time. Connecting with people. My classes. You can go in, for example, I was tired this morning. The energy that was in the space, the people that I teach can turn it around in an instant. And I walk out a completely different version of myself. Whereas if you're stuck in your head and, oh, I'm tired, this isn't my day, you can stay like that, or you can be open to the change and open to receive what comes your way and come out your mind. Like
I think Tom Waite, the PT, he said the same thing. Get up in the morning, get sunshine on your face. Just go for a walk. If it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, doesn't matter. That's like the best thing you can do to like improve your mood in the morning and set your circadian rhythm and stuff. So we now do that. Well, not all the time. Sal's better than I am.
But that's life, you know?
But it definitely improves my mood and makes me feel better if I get up and do stuff in the morning.
Yeah. Being, I'm super, like, to everyone listening, no phones for the first, you might have to start depending on how bad you are with your phone. Start with the first 10 minutes. First 30 minutes of the morning, it's vital for me to not look at the phone, because one message can throw your whole mood and it can make you start work. You know, if you see an email or something from your boss that comes across as urgent, if you've seen it, you're going to place that above your walk, for example.
That's such an important point. I do that every single day. I wake up and the first thing I do is click my work phone. If there's an email, I'm like, oh, I have to read it now that I've seen it. And you're right, my mind just instantly
Takes you
started
elsewhere.
work.
Anywhere else that's not on yourself, you know, you go, whereas that walk without the phone or with a podcast, airplane mode, is for you. You can't be thrown, you can't be stressed out. You stay at your centre in alignment, knowing you're doing what's good for you. Then you can approach the world, then you can approach what comes to you in a better state of mind, rather than that, oh, I've got this, now I've got this, and you know.
Yeah. So let's go on to the, you started obviously learning here. You passed whatever course you did.
The 200 hours.
Yeah, 200 hours. And then you started teaching through COVID, which is obviously tough. I know that you was doing a lot of online coaching. Then you was doing this super interesting yoga in the mornings. Tell us a little bit about the morning yoga that you did.
The paddle board.
Yeah, where did that come from?
So when you go through your teacher training, you're taught how to sequence, how to teach, obviously. You're educated loads on yoga and the body. And then that's it. Okay, go out into the world. I'm like,
Panic.
How do I get a job doing what I love? How do I cross that bridge, you know, and piece them together? Turning it from a passion also into career. Also, Sam was a super big help behind that old school go door to door. So what I visualized, what I would love to be offered here, is what I then approach businesses suggesting. So I thought yoga in the morning in the hotels in the Palm with breakfast. If I was a hotel guest, like round the pool, I would love that.
Oh yeah, loads of people would love that.
Yeah. So I started with hotels, going around the Palm, literally paper CV. Hi. Can I work for you? Do you like this idea?
How did that work?
It got placed. I did a community yoga class in Bounty Beats in the outdoors for hotel guests, and made great connections. Since then, worked for the W, then that expanded beside in the marina.
So why did you stop that?
I changed from freelancing to going solo with one studio alone.
Why?
Consistency and stability. So at holidays time, my hours dropped. Other teachers came back to this one studio, like old teachers that had taught there a long time before me had returned, so my hours dropped. All of a sudden, I was like...
That's the trouble with freelance work, is you've got to sort of make money and loads of money in the good times. And then you've just got that inconsistency that stuff's just going to dry up and disappear, and you have no idea when it's going to happen.
It wasn't expected, yeah. I was like, wow. Where did paddleboarding come from? So I think that was one of the first ones. Again, I just saw the Ignite Water Sports on Instagram, and they're like a fun group of guys, and they're really big on SUP, and they get a really good community to go paddle boarding. Yeah, stand-up paddle on the sea. And then I just had the idea, it's done already. A girl runs an incredible business here, SUP Fitness. I might be calling it the wrong name. Anyways, and then I thought, that's a really good concept. And I did the stand-up paddle yoga, and I just approached Guillaume, the owner of Ignite. I was like, what do you think of this? Like sunrise or... no, I'm wrong. I went to him to suggest full moon yoga on the beach. He then turned around to me. He was like, what about yoga on the paddle boards? I went, I've just qualified as yoga on the land. Okay, why not? Let me just see if I can do some yoga poses myself. Let's see if I'm able to before I teach others to do it. Yeah, he was the one that suggested it to me.
Get them waiver forms out, like, can you swim?
It was great. It was special. It was really special. It just didn't... It was early morning. It's more of a, that's fun to do, rather than like a consistent... People who practice yoga are on their journey of improving. It was more of a nice thing to do, and they weren't... It's
also seasonal as well, because there's a big period of the year where no one is going to get up and go in the mornings. It's just going to be too hot and sweaty. But yeah, no, fantastic little concept that you did. And then you moved into full-time work. So now where are you at?
Platform, exclusive with them. And the difference with that is I get a weekly schedule, monthly schedule given. I'm guaranteed X amount of hours. It's routine, and you're teaching the same people. That was a big difference for me. I loved all the studios that I taught at, and I've made some great connections and friends. However, you can go further in the journey with the clients when I'm returning to them, let's say 3 times a week, rather than just popping in on a Friday. And then I'll come back next Friday. We've got a consistent practice going. They know me, I know them. And you can go further, you can relax a little bit more, they're more comfortable.
It's also part of building your tribe that we were speaking about earlier. You've got that settled community of people.
Yeah. And as well, when you find your passion, going back to like how I settled here, how I settled into work, it's hilarious. The conversations that come towards me now. So I'm not too anatomically driven in yoga. I'm not too strict on alignment. I don't teach my privates even, for example, aren't yoga for injuries. That's just not the road that I've went down. However, it's much more spiritual practice. We talk about our energy, mindset, and the conversations that come to me through my clientele now, rather than it's, I've got a really bad lower back, what would you suggest for this? It's, Melissa, it's the full moon. How are you feeling? And what does this mean? And it's just so funny, the road that you go down and the path that you go down with passion, it starts coming towards you as well. And then that's how the little tribe is formed.
Do you feel like you was already spiritual, or has this put you down a different path in that respect? And in terms of like your nutrition and health and stuff, do you feel like this has always been you, or are you now living that lifestyle because of your career?
Always been into well-being, physically active, super sporty as a youngster. Health is up there. Spirituality has definitely come from yoga. However, looking back, like he's got my slipper. My granddad, who's passed, he was very religious and such a strong faith. So even though I don't follow a particular religion, let's say, it's still a belief and it's still a faith. And I think there is a connection there. And my sister also is very similar to myself, very spiritual. And I think it has been there for a long time, but the yoga's just shone the light on it more.
So how has this all led you towards something you've been planning for a very long time, your retreat?
I just knew that's something that I wanted to go to next. I didn't know when. It wasn't a plan as such, like I'll do 2 years of teaching yoga, then it'll evolve into this. But now it's just naturally went into that direction. Just a big dream of mine that I've just thrown myself in.
After you had spoke about this, I started looking up like yoga retreats. There's not a lot in the UAE.
Right.
It's very limited. So I feel like there's definitely a space for that. There's actually, I forget the girl's name now, but there's a woman she quit her like job in London, moved to Ibiza, and now runs like corporate retreats in Ibiza. She's done that, and she seems to be like flying and like doing like really well, and it's just a space that people are like loving and really enjoying. I feel like there's definitely room for that here. There's loads of mangroves here, right? That no one seems to be aware of. They're planting loads in Dubai. There's loads in Abu Dhabi already. I just picture this in my head, like 5 years down the line, like little huts on the mangroves. Mel's there teaching yoga.
Oh, thanks.
I think that'd be
Let's do it
awesome.
together.
What's your visions for the future for it?
My intention behind the retreat, and then this specific retreat has a little bit more behind it with the theme of connection, but to start with, my intention behind the retreat is to offer a space to people to step back from the go, like the fast pace that comes with the city life. And you can lose yourself in it. The faster you go, the more disconnected you get from what you really want and what's good for you. You're just this hamster on the wheel. So I want to provide a space where you can take a step back from that and reflect, like really see yourself in the space. And where we're hosting this retreat in Corfacan is in the outdoors, in the mountains, some more fresh air. It's a different kind of temperature on that side, on that coast. For people to slow down, eat well, move, wake up early, be encouraged to see the light in every day, journaling, which I'll guide people through because it may be something they've never done before, getting thoughts out on paper, like starting this communication with yourself, like what's going on in here. So that's the intention of the retreat in general, like what I want people to feel in retreats. This one's all about connecting, so connecting more to the self. Naturally, you connect to the others, like-minded people, and the nature, which we are deprived of in Dubai, but it's near
Massively.
the mountains, near the sea, and that makes you feel alive, you know, these things that come for free, the nature. And then where I see it going, I don't know if 3 years too bold. Obviously, if it was in the UAE, it would be seasonal, but I'd love to take it elsewhere. I've threw Bali out there a couple of times to my clients when they were commenting on my loose clothes. I'm like, I'm just trying to pretend that I'm still in Bali, and certain musics and soundtracks that I'm playing, like, oh, close your eyes, you could be in Bali. I know my clients would love that. So yeah, taking it overseas.
Are you going to do it like monthly or every quarter, every 6 months? What do
Every
you
quarter,
envision?
I feel like a good time to do it after that. So the first one's in December, and then possibly March as the next one. Get planning, because
There's a lot of effort that goes into it. You were telling me all about the food and stuff that was going to happen there, and it sounds like a lot of work has gone into this.
I'm not an admin person or an event organizer, so I've literally just been learning as I go. Okay, start with the venue. Okay, people need fed and watered, and the creativity, the creation that goes behind it. So, what journey do I want to take people on? What kind of classes do I want to offer them? What do I want them to leave feeling? So that It's funny, as a freelancer, a yoga teacher, an entrepreneur, someone that's more working for themselves, I should really start a time audit of how much time I'm putting into this. Because when you ask, like, what's your typical day? I don't really know how many hours throughout the week that I'm putting into that, like the newsletters, You just do it because it needs done, and because there's enjoyment behind it. It's very, you don't feel like, oh, it's a lot of work and it's tiring.
Is it a case of you're doing something that you love so it doesn't feel like work? Or, and I heard this the other day, if you work on something that you love, it means that you begin to work all the time and don't have time to have your relaxing time, if that makes sense. The words didn't come out right, but do you understand what I mean?
Yeah. Not the latter, because I'm a big, and maybe this is why I will never become a big entrepreneur. I'm like, never work on weekends. I teach 2 classes on a Saturday, won't look at emails. Probably won't answer a message from you. And it's about the retreat. I'm like, I'll see to that. So I'm quite fortunate with the boundaries that I've set. It doesn't leak into my everyday. However, as a yoga teacher, you're then a brand. The way the world is now on Instagram, I'm showing you what style I am, what energy I put into my class. That's when lines can blur. When I went home to the UK, I'm just Mel. Like, oh, Mel, how's it going? Here, it's Melly Flow, and the discussion's more around yoga. So then you can sort of lose yourself. Like, I'm not, by definition, I'm not a yoga teacher. That's not who I am. You know, that's what I do. That's what I love. But it doesn't define me.
Have you separated yourself on social media?
No, I'm still, because I want, and the people that I follow, I see who they are as a person. And it's not just this like robot behind the profession. I think who you're attracted to as a yoga teacher and who inspires you comes a lot from who they are as a person, not how good they are or how long they can stand on their head or, you know, personality. And because I'm so connected to people, I want people to connect to me as a person and be able to open up to them and break down all these barriers, more approachable in that way as well.
So you touched on your sense of fashion earlier. This isn't something that we prepared. But I wanted to just go into that. You, like I said, very much a free spirit. You express yourself in your dress sense. I loved the outfit that you had on Sam's birthday. It was a very unique top.
The dress, the
top on the boat.
Top.
Yeah.
That was so expensive.
Oh, really?
I'm not a designer person, but Right Market that's held in Dubai, they've got all their little like local brands, local stalls. This was handmade from Brazil, this one. I gotta tell you, it was 700 dirham for a bikini.
Oh my God.
I know. So it better be nice. It's reversible, so it's 2-in-1. Wasn't even my birthday. I just did it. It was one of those like F it moments, just fuck it. Yes, you like it. And you know, when I was going to Bali as well, I was like, I need to have a nice bikini. Sustainable.
Yeah, I was going to say it was definitely sustainable. I got that.
But I don't buy a lot of clothes. I really don't. It used to be something I did in Scotland with it being colder weather. Shopping would be a hobby and something to do. You're indoors a lot in the winter. You meet friends for food, for cafes, for restaurants. Here I can go to the beach and be by the pool. But yeah, shopping, I'm not really interested anymore. So don't buy a lot, but when I do.
Oh, I've actually gone plain. I've gone from went travelling and I was like, do you know what? I can't keep wearing the same branded T-shirt on all of my photos. And I was like, when I get back to Dubai, I'm getting rid of all of the branded stuff. I now have plain black, white, grey. And my socks are all black, so I don't have to pair them up. Like they're all exactly the same. So I just dump them in a drawer. Clever little life tip.
Dream, yeah.
And my sports socks are white, so that I can pick them out.
Very good.
Easily
Simple.
without pairing them.
Do you miss colour?
No.
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 Just boom, boom, boom. Fair enough.
Yeah. So, is there anything that you feel like you want to talk about that we haven't spoke about?
Follow that voice in the back of your head. I would say when you have that desire and that flash of, oh, what if? Or, oh, I really want to do that. Yes, it's not always as easy as just do it, but it can be depending on how you approach it.
Mm. That's
So
nice bit of advice.
fears often are created from your own mind. Just do it.
Do you find that are you kind of getting a lot of corporate people coming in being stressed with work, or are you finding that the clients are already people that are in kind of that happy sort of centered space?
A right mixture, like a mixture of people that it's very hard to create the space and the time to do the practice, but they show up, not always consistently, but they come. And they always feel better for it. Always feel better for it. Like, oh, thank goodness. Like, you never regret it, do you? Thank goodness.
Well, yeah, Sel got me to go spinning at about 5 a.m, and then I was like, "Oh, this is like horrible." And then got there. I'm not a morning person. Got there for 6 o'clock in the morning. Started this class. The music comes on, and I'm like, "I'm in the zone. I'm here. Like,
You're on a
I'm doing
high.
it. I finished it. I felt great."
Yeah.
By about 11, I was like lagging, but yeah, it definitely feels good to get up and move and.
But you get a right mixture, and you don't always know because it can be a one-directional thing, not with energy, but it's me speaking, it's them moving. Then people tend to open up as well afterwards. They can share what that practice meant for them and what it did for them because of where they're at in their life. But no, it doesn't just attract happiness and light and chill. Like I say, all versions are welcome into the room, even for myself. You're not consistently here. Yeah, everyone, it's such a unique journey. Everyone brings something different into the space.
So how do people reach out and A, apply for your retreat, and B, contact and follow you?
Instagram is probably the easiest way. Melly Flow Yoga.
Spell that.
MELLYFLOWYOGA. I always describe it when I tell people at the end of the class. I'm like, Melly Flow Yoga. Remember. And yeah, just message me from there if you've heard this and it's something that you would love, just one night, just to escape a little bit. I can add you to the mailing list as well, and then you'll receive all the information coming through automatically. Or yeah, just a nice little conversation. Any questions?
And what's the date of the retreat?
3rd to the 4th of December.
There you go, guys, get booking.
I'd love to have you there. And it starts somewhere. It might be something that you hadn't imagined before, ever thought of for yourself, but just, oh, that sounds a bit of bliss. You come back feeling better. You know, when you do these weekends and holidays and you come back like, oh, I need another holiday. I guarantee you're just going to be on a little cloud after this and feel like ready to go again into your working week. It's on a public holiday, actually.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you very much for coming on the podcast today. I appreciate your time. Can't wait to post this online.
Yay. Thank you.